Welcome back to the channel and another Sudoku. So this looked like it was an interesting one, as are all of the Sudokus I do here. So it is called water containers. If you had not seen already, let me fix this because I didn't do it prior to starting. So good job me, right? Okay. Anyway, we've got water containers by Bert. I think I said that previously, but saying it again just in case. So on to the rules. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So it's every row, every column, every 3x3 box must contain the digits 1 through 9 once each. We've got thermometers. So on a thermometer, digits increase starting from the bulb. So if we were to start here, let's say it was a 4. This could be 5, 7, 9, or any combination as long as they increase from the bulb to the tip. We've got killer cages to an extent. We've got digits cannot repeat within a cage. So such as this, you couldn't put 2 1s, even though they work with other Sudoku rules, because this cage does not allow it. And as you will notice, there are no sums put into these. That's why I said it was a variant of killer cages. We have cages are containers filled with water, air, or both. Water cells and air cells cannot exist in the same row without or within a container, and air cannot be below water within a container. The digits 1 to 4 represent air and 5 to 9 water. So it looks like we're going to have to fill all of these in, and doing so using water and air. Some portions of it will be water, some portions will be air, or it could be some other variant like it's all water or it's all air. We don't know yet. We're gonna have to get there and figure it out. So those are the rules. Let's get into this and see what we can do. So it would seem most logically that at the bottom is going to be where the majority of the water is going to collect, and in the top is going to be where the majority of the air collects. But that does not necessarily correlate to reality. That said, you could have something like this where this could be all air. Who knows? This could be half water, half air, and then it could be water all around it. We don't quite know, because it says that the cells cannot be in the same, or in the cages is where the water and air exists. Okay, so maybe we need to have something that's going to tell us lower down here, or possibly higher up, where low and high digits are going to be, because we've got obviously the lower digits 1 through 4 are air, and 5 to 9, which are mid to high, are water. So let's look at this thermo, because it seems to be one of the largest one. This one might be the same size. And this should give us an idea of maybe how we can start. So 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 is the very lowest this can be. So this, or highest it can be, excuse me. So if this can only be a 4, and it cannot be anything higher, this entire cage must be filled with air. So how are we going to represent air and water? Well, water is clearly got to be blue. I don't know who would think otherwise. If you do, maybe you should get checked. I'm just joking. You can do it whatever color you want. Let's do, I don't really want to do gray, so let's do green for air. I know it's not the greatest color for air, but maybe yellow makes more sense. I don't know why. Maybe if you live in a smog-filled area, things are more yellow. Okay, let's stop with the terrible analogies and what have you. So, that said, we know this entire cage must be filled with air, because if this one at the very bottom is air, you can never have water above it. That said, this cage, or this portion of the thermo, must also be air, so it must be from 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it can't be 1, so it's got to be 2, 3, 4. That then removes this from being 4. Next, what do we have? We might be able to do something the opposite here. I think it's the same, 987,654. It is. So this one is from the air variety, which means all of these are from the air variety. Now we cannot rule this out as being water yet, because it could be sitting below the air pocket. Now if we just kind of go up, I think we're going to find out something like this is going to be above what water can be, and we've already gotten there. So just typing these in as a visual reference, these two both must be water, because the very lowest they can be is 5. Therefore, in this cage, this must be water, so it has to at least be 5. So there's really only a couple of options here now. It's either 5 or 6. And then everything above it has to be water as well. Let's put these in real quick. These are the only possibilities for any of these. So therefore, these all have to be water, because this cage must fill up with water. This then has to be water, because you can't have a little pocket of air sitting here where there's water above it. So this can no longer be 3 or 4. So this here can't be 4 or 5. This can't be 5 or 6. Oops. I didn't mean to do that, but it worked out anyway. This then can't be 7. So we know this is also water. This one we do not know just yet, but we do know that this is water. And if this is water, all of this is water. Well, technically we could have known some of that already if we looked here. If all this has to be air, these have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, quadruple. I won't write that in just yet. So those are all water. We don't know if this is water. Another way to start looking at this, and it doesn't necessarily apply just yet, but it may in the future, is if we have a region where we've already got 4 airs, and I'm just putting here, it could be anywhere, that would tell us that everything else must be water no matter what. And the same would apply for rows and columns. That is not the case just yet, like I said, but it may help us out later. So like on here, we know there are 5 digits that have to be water within this box. We've already got 4 of them, so there's only going to be 1 more. Where that water lies could be here, here, or here. But, and it does kind of help us a little bit, there can never be water here. And why is that? Well, if this was water, these would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in some order. We don't know what. Now we cannot have any more water in this area, so this would have to be air, and it'd be sitting underneath water. So these are actually air. I don't think I can do the same here. I know we've got 1 air somewhere in here, but that doesn't give me much, at least not yet. Now, are these thermos going to do much for me? Because I don't think they do. Yeah, because this could be as high as 6 up here. This one, well, let's look at this one. This makes sense. This one right here, this is air. Now, anything below it on a thermometer must also be air. So that is air. I don't know if these are water or not. Now, if I knew which one of these was something, I could make assumptions about most of the other, if not all. So I'm still looking for 1 small, or 1 large, we'll say large, just call 5 through 9 large. Usually it's 6 through 9, but in this case, we're going to go with adding 5 to that collection. So it has to be 1 more, or 2 more, sorry, waters, and 2 more airs. So that did not give me what I was hoping for, because both of these could be water, both of these could be air, same here. And they could technically be 1 of each, so this could be water, air, something, those lines. Well, technically that can't be water and air, can it? So maybe that is something to look at. If this was water, this would be higher than water. Higher than water is water. So these would all be water. These would have to both be air, and all of these would be air. Now, is there anything we can rule out there? It tells us that these two are the same no matter what they are. So these are either both air or they're both water. And it means that these are either both air or they're both water. But I think that's about as far as we can go with that. Now, we will be able to determine that these three are the same, either water or air. But we cannot say that these four are the same necessarily, unless this turns out to be air. All right, so after all of that, well, we know this has to be from 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. So there has to be a 9 in one of these two. That's not going to do too much for us. We know there's no 9s in any of these. One of these is a 9, so there's no 9s in any of these. So that gives us a 9 in here. Again, not super helpful just yet. I'm wondering if the geometry of any of these is going to give us some help. Well, it is, isn't it? Look at this cage. This has to be either 2 airs or 2 waters because they're on the same plane. You can never put air here and water here. So no matter what these are, these two here are going to be the opposite. And again, I don't think I can determine that as of the moment, because these could be 2 air and these could be 2 water. And that would work, or these could be 2 water and these could be 2 air, and that would still work. Okay, on this one, we've only got 1 more water. So somewhere in here, there's another water. I guess what that means is that one of these is fully air. Would that be accurate? So let's say this was the water one. We can no longer put water here. Well, it wouldn't be accurate what I said. It would mean that these two in one of these has to be air. At least. Okay. Now these thermos are too small, like I said previously, to really... Well, I know these are air, but I can't tell what these are. It could be air, water, it could be water, water, it could be air, air. Could this ever be air? I think the answer is yes, because these two would then be air. No. Yeah, that works. Sorry, that does work. This could be air. No. I found another reason why that's not correct. Okay, if this is air, it forces these two to be air. Because on a thermometer, anything below air must be air. But what does that do? Let's just put it in to show. We've now got a 4 set here, and we've got 4 set here. Everything else on these row and column must therefore be water. But how the heck do I put water here? Wait, no, I said it wrong. Or did I? I'm confusing myself. It happens a lot, I know. Please, bear with me. These can all be water still. These could all be water still. This can't be... Okay, that's where I was looking at. I just went to the wrong Sudoku box. Apologies for the little hiccup. Okay, these can be water, but can this ever be water? Because in this row, or column, and fumbling over my words again, there cannot be any more air. So that forces this to be water, but then water will be sitting on top of air. So we know that this cannot be air, because if it was, it would break the puzzle, so it has to be water. Now, if this is water, that leaves the option for all of these to still be whatever they so choose. All right, so that was a tiny little something. Can we do something similar with this? What if this was air? It's possible if it was a 4. If it was air, it would cause all of these to be air. That would have to be air. These would have to be air. Now we've got 5 airs in this row. That doesn't ever work. This cannot be air. It must be water. Can we do the same thing with this one? I believe we can. If this was air, these would all be air. Air would have to be... No, it doesn't. Okay. Air would have to be on top. This would have to be air. This could still be water, and it would keep that alive. It would force all of these to be water, which is interesting. But then it would push air up here, which there isn't an issue with, so we can't do that. So at least that was something. This is water. Now we said before these could all be air, or they could all be water. And nothing has changed there. Now, could this ever, maybe that's a better way to go, start looking at the geometries of these things. Could this ever be air? Well, if this was air, all of these would have to be air. You can't have water above air. So you've got 5 airs now. We've only got 4 digits to represent air, so this has to be water. We do something similar with some of these other ones. If this was air, stop doing that. I don't like when you just hold it down, it automatically selects. Wasn't my intention. So can we find another place where that type of situation might exist? So let's say this was water, or air, perhaps is a better way to put it. These would all have to be air. That doesn't do anything, because it doesn't create, it means that both of these couldn't be air, so they would all have to be water. But I don't think that still does enough. If this was air, all of those would be air. We'd be done with all our airs on this row. These would all be water. These would all be water. These would all be water. Which is still possible. Is it? Yes, because 4 and 5. Everything else would have to be air. Let's run through that, because there might be something I'm not quite seeing. Let's say these are all air. Let's say this one was air. That's where I'm working this from. So this specific digit or section of the cell is air. It now forces all of these to be water. These have to be water because they're in a line. This has to be water. So let's just put, no, this one has to be water because it's on the same level. Let's just put it in. We'll backtrack in a second if it doesn't come to anything. So we've got these is all water. We need 2 airs up here in this here. So these would both be air and these would be water. And all of that works. And I don't want to go too far. This would be water as well with this, because I don't want to get into diverging solves or anything like that. I just kind of wanted to look at something to see if it would work, or if it would quickly show itself to not work, and it doesn't appear to do so. So let's move away from that one. I guess on the flip side, we could look at, could this ever, stop it, could this ever be water? If it was water, all of that would be water. That would force all of these to be air. All of these would be water. Because in this box, we would need to have more water. We don't have anything necessarily saying that we couldn't add air or water that I can see offhand. So that doesn't look to be a great starting point. Okay, where am I missing something? I need to have 2 waters down here somewhere and just 1 air. Here I need 2 waters total. It's either both of these or of each of these. Now, if we can rule these out being, well, we can't really, can we? Didn't I just say we had to have 2 waters? So I can't rule out a 9 from any of these because one of these 2 or both of them could be water and could still be 9, or this one could be the water. It would create, if this one was the water, it would make this water. And these would both have to be air because you couldn't do both waters. And then you'd have to have one of these be some combination of waters and airs to finish that, but again, that doesn't quite do it. There must be something I'm not quite seeing here. Just doing a quick scan through, just make sure I wasn't missing anything in the rule sets, and I'm not. So there has to be something in one of these geometries, you know, something like this that I was able to pick out on these other ones that's also going to help me. Because I don't believe these thermometers are enough at the moment. I think we need to start building our water up, and then the thermometers will help us determine where we go from there. So this could still be water, yeah. Either one of these is water. We said those are both air. So these could still though both be water, and these could both be air. Just force that to be air. Okay. Could there be air trapped up in here? Absolutely. Now the question is, maybe that's where I need to look. I've got these 2 here, and my question is, if one of them, or it's not a question, if one of them is air, they both have to be air, but then that removes the possibility of air from all of these. Is it ever possible that these are both water? If they are, all of this is water, and we now have 6 waters in this column, so that is not correct. So these cannot be air, so they have to be water. Okay. So now we have 2 waters. We need 3 more. We know we can't have both of these be water. But all of these could be. I don't see anything that says that that cannot occur. I only know one of these can be water. They might all be air. They can't both be all air because of this row. So one of these has to be water, which means doesn't mean water has to fill them. But we said both of them can't be. Okay, that's where we needed to look, sorry. So we've got these 3. There has to be 2 more. We said that already, but I didn't follow that logic through, and I should have. And because it was correlating to what we had figured out up here. If both of these were water, is that... that doesn't rule it out. Again, I've wrapped my words around to not work out how I thought they were working in my head. What I was trying to do was force this to be water. But I don't believe I can do that. Because if this was water, this has to be water. And then these 2 both have to be air. So I only have 2 airs left, but these could be the airs that go with some form of water. or the water could rise up. Oh well, I just missed basic Sudoku. Is that going to do anything for me? This is a 6-7 pair. It's been sitting there from the very beginning, or at least when I started putting these in. This has to be a 5. So that forces that out, and that's probably where I was missing something. So at least this gives me something. This is air now. Okay, I wish I had seen that earlier. I'm sure you were all screaming at the screen because it was fairly obvious. That's air, so I can only have one more air, but it could be either one. There's nothing stopping at the moment. And that didn't really end up doing very much anyway. There has to be a 1 in one of these now. Is that accurate to say? It actually isn't. Because they do not have to be. Yeah, these could be 2 and 3 or something like that. And then the 1 could be somewhere out here where there is no thermometer. Okay. Forget that. All waters. Oh. This is getting to be a little tricky for some reason. Keep going back. I keep wanting to stay on the bottom because it feels like that's how things are going to help me, but maybe that's not the best way to go about it. What about this? This is a 3-cell cage. So whatever this is, and it's a 3-cell cage that is either air or water, not a mixture of both. Now, if it was all air, it would break the puzzle. So it has to be water. Okay, there's something. So looking up at the top actually did turn out to be a good thing to do, at least for the second. So if these were all air, I can only put one more air in here. But all of these are in pairs. So I could never just put one. So these are all water. Now I have to have two of these have to be sets of air, and the other one is a water set. Now, I don't have anything really pushing the water from there. Even that was helpful, but not extremely helpful. Now, what if I went back to this one and said one of these was water? Or just this one. Let's say this one was water. That means all of those are water. These all have to be air. Forces this to be air, which means these are all air, which means this is all water again. So I've got the 5 waters, and that would determine this to be the air, but I can't see how I can say that is the case either way. Well, I can say that this can't be air, because if it was, this would have to be air, and then I'd have 5 airs. So this is water, which then cascades down. Now I have, okay, here we go. Now I'm getting into something. We have our water, so now all of these have to be air. Okay, so now I've got 3 airs. I can only have 1 more air. This cannot be a set of air, so it has to be all water. Now, either this or this is air. Do I know which one it is? Don't quite think so. Starting to look back here again, if we can start ruling some things out as being water or air. So this can never be air. If it's air, this entire thing has to be air. Then we've got 5 airs, so this is water. This can't ever be air. It does the exact same thing. So this has to be water. And if that's water, these are all on par to be water. Now we have 5 waters. These are all air. This is air. This is air. And I think we could have seen that here previously, and I just didn't pay much attention to it. Okay. Moving along. So we've got 4s going here in terms of water for both of them. We got a 4 here in water, which means this could never be water, because if it was, this would have to be water. So this is air. So that gives me all the airs there. These have to be waters. Where else can we look? So neither of these can be water for the same reason. So these are both air, which means that's air. So we've now got all the air. We've got water. This fills in with water. This is air. Okay. Now this has to be water. These have to be air because I already got 4 waters. I can't have 2 more. This is air. This is water. That's all the waters. This is air. One of these is water. One of these is air. This can't ever be air, because if it is, this would be air, and then we have 5 air, so that's water. This has to be air, this has to be air. I can only have 1 more air in this box, so these can't be airs. This is. These are all of the airs, the 4 of them, so those are waters. We've got a set of airs and a set of waters in some order. And I'm not sure which one is which. What do we have going on up here? Anything we can work with there? Oh, we've got 4 airs. This is water. We've now got 5 waters. These are both air. This has to be air to finish the box. This is then water, so this is water. That would have told me that previously. So these are air. We've got now 4 airs, so this is water. So now we've got water and air done. Okay, there we go. A little bit painful, but we got there. Now we have to start solving the puzzle. So we've got a fully water thermo, and this is what I thought would happen. Once we got into what was water and air, we could start working here. We've got only one bit of leeway here in terms of how that can work. So these have to be set up in that variety. How about in the air? These could be up to 1, 2, or 3. It's not super helpful. This thermo is all air. I don't mean that negatively. So these have to be 1, 2, 3, 4. That now removes the 1 from here. As you'll recall, I erroneously said, well, I didn't erroneously say it, but I said one of these had to be 1. It turned out to be true, even though my logic was massively flawed. These are not 2s. Is it 3? Can get rid of the 3 here. Now where are we going? So where does the 9 go in this row? Well, it has to go here, because it can't go on the lower portion of a thermometer. And now we've got no 9s in any of those, so one of these 3 is. I don't think I'm going to mark that just yet. This 2 is in this cage. I'm seeing that now. It's kind of hard to see it a little bit, but that is its own cage. So this is a 3-4 pair. This has to be within that cage, and it cannot be 2, 3, or 4, so it is 1, which forces this to be 3, 4. These have to be 1 and 2. These from 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. In fact, there has to be a 9 in one of those, but that doesn't do me a ton of good. Well, I know this is a 9, so that's not a 9. I knew that wasn't a 9 also because that was yellow, which is air. There's a 9 somewhere in there. Okay. Let me try to find something else here that's gonna, okay, this 5, and I should have, again, I probably didn't see the Sudoku, and I was concentrating on water and air, and I wasn't paying attention to the original Sudoku that was already going on. This is its own cage, and I had to kind of look closely back at it again with all the coloring, because it kind of messes with my eyes. So this has to be 6. and then that's 7, and that's 8, and that 4 makes that 9. This is not 8 or 9, and it's not 7 or 6, so it's 5. Now this 7 sees that, so that's 6. And is there anything else in here that's kind of pushing me along? What? I reset these two. I'll put them in now because it's determined what they actually are. They're 5 and 9. They're not differentiated just yet. This one is from 7, 8, or 9. So we've got a 7, 8, 9 quad, which means this has to be 5. There has to be a 5 somewhere in this box, which means it's this one. These are from 6, 7, and 8. This can never be 8, because then that would have to be 9. So this is the only place an 8 can reside. This is not 8. So we've got a 7, 8, 9 quad here that still doesn't want to let us know who's who. These, can we do anything with them? They're 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is obviously not 3, and this is not 4. So we've got a 4 here. So we've actually got a 1, 2, 3, 4 quad, which is obvious, but doesn't really do us. Same with this being a 1, 2, 3 quad. It just tells us there's a 3 here and a 4 here. The 9 doesn't quite tell us anything. The 5 here doesn't quite get us what we want. I mean, it puts a 5 in here, but you can look at those 5s and get that. Maybe that's the better way to start looking between the killer cages and the colors to kind of differentiate what can be what. So but it's not really looking great to start with. Well, this has a 5, 9 pair in it, so there can't be a 5 up in here, or a 9. So there has to be 5s and 9s up here, which means this is not a 5. Excuse me. The next bit, well, this is 8, this is 9, so let's just try to do some obviouses. Obviouses, I love that word. It's not a word, don't worry about it. That is 5 and 9. This is therefore an 8, 7, and 6. That forces that to be a 7. And then this opens up the 8 and the 9 and the 7. Now we've got, this is no longer a 9. It has to be either 6 or 5. Same goes with this. That doesn't give me much. This can't be a 9. There has to be a 9 in this row. So this is, let's get rid of that. There has to be from 6, 7, and 8 in here, and that can't be 8. And this can't be 5 because of this 5 down here, so that's just the 5. So these are 6, 7, and 8. There's nothing really determining that, but that does tell me what this is at the end of the day. It's a 2, and I could have looked here as well. These have to be 3 and 4. This has to be from 1 and 2, and so does that. There's nothing pointing at it just yet. This one is a given now. What is it? It's a 5. This is a given. It's a 6. We need to put a 9 in this row, and it can't be either of these because this sees that one. Well, this one sees both of them in its own box. So this is the 9. These have to be 7 and 8. There's a 7 right there, so we get 8 and 7. These have to be 6 and 8. 6 and 8. This one cannot be 6, 7, 8, or 9 because of this, so it is 5. Now we've got 6 and 7 up here, which tells us which one's which, and then that gives us our 8. Okay, we are moving along now. So this 5 is going to tell us that's a 5. This is either 6 or 7. Can't be 6. That's 7 and 6 and 7. And we are scooting. This is a 6. This is a 7. These are 8 and 9. Not quite differentiated yet. This is what it is now. This is 8 and 9 as well, and there's a 9 over there. So that is 8, 9, 8. These, well, this one right here we're just going to do as 9, and this is 6. So that's all our large digits. Now let's go to the small digits and see what we can pick out. Where is there a good starting point? Is there any place that a 4 is ruled out? Not really. This is a 1-2 pair. Oh, here we go. This is a given 3 that I just didn't notice. So there has to be a 3 in one of these. Where else do we have? Goes across. There has to be a 2 in one of these. Not super helpful. This could be just about anything. This could be just about anything. Let's just start putting these in so I'm just not missing something that's obvious that I can't see. So this is 1, 2, 4. This doesn't have anything to reduce it. This thermo's not doing me much good just yet. Well, I've got a 1. No, I don't. One of these is 4. I thought I didn't see it properly. Keep talking. This 3, 4, which was very obvious from the beginning, is 3 and 4. That now is a 4 and a 3. We've got these have to be 2 and 4. Let's put them in. These have to be 1 and 3. Okay. We've got 1, 2, and 3 in here, but that's not much use. So what other very obvious item have I missed at this point? 1, 2. Could be any of them. Could be any of them. Thermos, are they all done? Just so I'm not missing something there. This one's not quite done yet, but could really be anything. Yeah. It could be, I believe. Okay, so let's start looking a little more basically in terms of Sudokus. Don't have much in the terms of 1s or 2s, really. 3s are a little bit better. There has to be a 3 in here. We know there's a 3 up there. Don't know about down in here. How about 4s? We have anything going there? One of these has to be a 4, but that's not too good for me. One of these has to be a 4. We know that. One of these has to be a 4. Don't get either of those. So this 3, let's look in cages because I've missed some of those. Like I said, they can be a little difficult for me to see sometimes, like this right here. This is a 1, 3, so this can never be a 1. It forces a 1 into here, which means this isn't a 1, so that's 2 and 1. That 2 now goes away, so this is a 1, 3 pair. That's not a 1. 1, 2, and 4. These can't have a 2 in them anymore, so this is 1, 4, looking at the 2, and there we go, 4 and 2. This now has to be 1 and 3. This has to be a 1, this has to be a 3, this has to be a 2 and a 1, and a 4 and a 1, and a 2, and a 4 and a 2. This has to be 1, so this is 3 and 1. This has to be 4, this has to be 3, and we got the doot. That's a 4 and that's a 2, and we've done it. Probably took a little bit longer than needed to be, just because of vision issues on my end, mostly, and then focusing solely on the cages and waters instead of seeing some of the more obvious basic Sudoku that was right in front of me. But that was a fun solve. As you can see, we did not break any of the rules. There is no water sitting on top of air. There is no air commingling with water on levels where it should not. So that all goes together. Cool. So, hope you all enjoyed that one. I did. Like I said, it took me a few minutes more than normal that it probably should have. I'm sure you guys will have beaten my solve time, but it is what it is. I don't have a problem taking a little bit of time. It makes the fun last longer. That's what I'm going to go with. I hope you you can see that or or let me take that. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed it. I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks. Bye.